first thing you said when you came into our studio was, how's Dick? Dick Johnson, who, as I mentioned to our viewers earlier, has been taken to Bathurst Hospital for x-rays on what appears to be an injured ankle. Do you have a theory on slow drivers, slow cars?
Most of the cars here, in fairness to the lads driving them, have been very good. It is difficult. The closing speed is huge. It's like going to Le Mans or somewhere like that. Even myself, and I've been racing a 2-litre all year, I was definitely out of bed at this track when I came here this week. Today I settled into it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But without the continuity of these cars, the continuity of understanding the speeds and everything, it is very, very difficult. It was almost on the cards, I'm afraid, that somebody was going to have an accident.
Well, sadly it is Dick, but we certainly hope that he's going to be okay. Good to see you out here once again, and anyway, we hope next year the race is considerably longer for you.
Thank you very much.
Win Percy there with Sandy Roberts, and the race may be over for him, but in the 2-litre category there's a race well and truly still on, and this is the leader, the second car on your screen, the number 6 Caltex Corolla entry, being driven at the present time. I think it's Neil Bates at the wheel, sharing this car with John Smith. Neil, of course, does more rally than track driving. Johnny Smith from the Ferguson Toyota agency, a slick salesman he is, from Sydney.
He's got the full face helmet on, Wilco, so I'd say that's John Smith at the wheel now.
Smithy, is it? Okay, good.
Neil Bates wearing an open face white helmet, I think, earlier in the day.
He sold me more cars than I really need over a period of years, John Smith.
Car 35 coming into the pits. The man in 7th position at the moment. And we've got the clocks going on this. This will be 4 tyres, fuel, driver staying in the car. So we've got the clocks on this. This is just on 10 seconds now. Car 35 in position 7th, as we said. And without doubt the most competitive Ford on the track at the moment, with 6 Commodores ahead of him.
Yeah. Just keeping track of the Ford Commodore battle at the head of the field. We've got Commodore.
This is anything but a routine stop.
No, they're under the car having a look at the transmission, I think.
First of the Falcons on the track is the other team car for Peter Jackson, the 30 car in 4th place. Then 2 more Commodores. Then this car was in 7th position.
Jeff Brabham at the wheel, and you can see looked like they got grooved slick tyres down there, as in comes the Morris Winkelhock car. Number 23 Winkelhock at the wheel at the moment, jumping out. Paul Morris about to get in.
This car was in the pits for some considerable time earlier, but they got the problem fixed, went back out, and they've continued, and they're in 17th place. So, as we've said several times, keeping on is what counts.
The bonnet is up again, though. I suspect they're having problems with that misfire again, Wilco.
Let's check out the 2-litre situation. We're just following this car of Smith and Bates, the leaders in the category, ahead of Cotter and Dillman in the BMW 2-litre, defending champions from last year. Rogers and Hopwood in car 13 in 3rd spot. The Sierra, Masterton and Hills in 4th, and Conway and Gardner in 5th place. They're the top 5 in the 2-litre category.
Diet Coke team. Dramas continue all day for the number 23 Diet Coke BMW. There's our stick cam.
And it is the same problem again.
Yep. Dear oh dear. We're going to bleed it again. I heard one of the crewmen say. So looks like there's hydraulic problems as well aboard car 23.
Winkelhock trying to attract somebody's attention.
It's the last thing you would have expected. I remember Steve Soper saying during the week they'll just keep going and going and going. But boy, hasn't there been some problems for the cars throughout this race. Meanwhile, 35 rejoins. David Parsons back at the wheel and holding down 7th place fairly comfortably.
There's another car that has had more than its fair share of dramas today. The second GIO car, McColl and Gazzard. But for all of the dramas, they've still managed to keep up and running. The headlights are ablaze now. It's getting very dark on some parts of the circuit as the heavy thunderclouds roll in from the southwest.
Yeah, one of the first of the pit visitors with an oil problem, which looks to have been cured now. The car's run quite strongly.
Oh, look at that. Very ominous skies approaching Mount Panorama. So we're looking out from the commentary box. That wind has picked up into what looks like gale force if you judge by the flags, and getting very, very dark.
That veil of rain wouldn't be more than 10 kilometres away, and
Look
with
at
this
that, Doug.
breeze...
Wet tyres going onto the BMW. They've discarded the slicks. So this is your first indication.
This is the best surviving of the 4 BMW brigade to come out of the Longhurst camp, Cart 20, in 12th position when it came in for that stop.
So
John Blanchard and Geoffrey Full.
They've gone for a full wet weather tyre, and a lot of the cars out on the track now will still be on slicks.
Yeah, and it's reflected in the times too. We've got the Perkins car doing a 2:21. They were doing 2:15s and 2:16s only a few laps ago. So it's having its impact, and I'm sure we're going to see it right across the field as the rain starts to impact.
And my apologies, I said Blanchard and Full. Blanchard, of course, Jeffrey Allen sharing that car with him.
Stuart McCall, Peter Gazzard continue on their way. Stuart, a low buck operator, in position 23 at the moment.
Car 35, by the way, rejoined the race on intermediate tyres.
Car 30, the lead car, Alan Jones and Glenn Seaton. Seaton gets back into the car. What are they putting onto that?
Intermediate
tyres,
slick tyres. The problem is, I think, that it's not yet wet enough for full wet tyres.
Andy Raymond in the pits.
I'm down in the pits, Gee, I love this rain, so I'm getting used to it down at the Bathurst pits. As you can see, Glenn Seaton jumping into the car. This was exactly the lap that these guys wanted to pit at. They'd planned to pit at lap 128. As you see, they haven't gone for the full wet weather tyres. A few little problems still up front, the front right hand with the fender rubbing on the tyre.
Thanks, Andy. Meanwhile, a bit further up the pit lane, Larry Perkins' crew getting ready for his stop, and this is a crucial stop. We've been doing our sums up here, and we've worked it out that going by present calculations, Perkins definitely has only one more stop to make. Well, and the Winfield team also have to make another stop.
33 laps is the ideal schedule, which, funnily enough, is what's left.
Seaton dropped one spot in that pit stop, came in 4th, went out 5th.
Now, what is so fascinating about this equation, everything going right for both teams with pit stops and no dramas on the track, no pace cars. Perkins theoretically, on real time, will win this event by 40 seconds. But there's so many variables that can emerge in the closing stages of this race.
And how much of that 40 seconds is down to that brake pad problem that they have with the one Winfield car?
Well, apparently down in the Perkins pit, they're getting ready to put slicks on the car, maybe intermediates. It's going to be very interesting. This is a really hard one to pick.
Yes,
Larry Perkins.
You know, variables. This is one of them.
Sure is.
Look at Conrod Straight, it's bone dry.
Well, there's certainly not enough water on the track for full wet tyres. These sort of track conditions would destroy wet tyres in very few laps indeed.
Yeah,
Keep in mind,
they're not
Larry,
intermediates.
Yeah, Larry is the team manager of this team. There he is, all helmeted up, ready to go. John Bow perhaps giving him a bit of advice or having a discussion one way or the other. Jeff Moorhead, the man from Dunlop, there too. He'd be very interested in the equation as the car gets ready for this crucial final stop.
55 is in 6th position when they came in. Andy Raymond's there. Perkins coming in as well.
Perkins. This is the one we've got to watch. Clocks will be ready. There's Larry. Man out in the pit lane signalling where the pit stop is going to happen.
Alan Grice, I can see, is there ready and waiting. So as soon as the car comes to a halt, we'll join Alan Grice.
Hope very much that it's the right decision for Larry. They've done everything right all day. This is definitely their last stop. They don't need any more fuel. They've gone past 129 laps. They will definitely get home on fuel. They're putting 4 cold slicks on. This is the unfortunate thing of this. If the tyre was hot, if the slick was hot, he would have a fair chance of keeping heat in them and then making the car work properly. But by starting off with cold slicks, Larry Perkins is going to be working very, very hard.
Thank you, Gricey. 28 seconds for that stop. Very slick. Driver change, 120 litres of fuel, 4 new tyres. They can run through to the finish on this.
And he rejoins the race at 1st place.
Right, and the Winfield team, no,
he doesn't.
No, this is the battle for the lead. Scaife, or Richards, I should say, just managed to squeeze through there. And as the rain comes down, now this is the crucial. This will win or lose the motor race for Larry Perkins. If this rain continues or abates, it's going to be a critical thing for him.
This is a brave gamble.
Oh boy, oh boy. If he loses his advantage, if he's picked his tyres right, he can go to the finish without a stop, and the Winfield team do have to make another stop. Now, if it keeps raining, he'll lose that advantage.
Let me tell you something else too. The Winfield team have centre-lock hubs on their wheels. Larry Perkins has the 5-stud variety. And normally that wouldn't matter, as we see Greg Hansford there absolutely shattered after his stint in the car. But normally a 5-stud wheel wouldn't matter because the fuel is the thing that takes longest to go in. But the next stop, or if he does have to make another stop, there won't be any fuel to add.
Well, the weather people tell us it probably is the right decision. There's no rain from the southwest, just passing showers. So if Larry can survive on these tyres, he's taking it very, very gently across the top, just trying to get some temperature into the slicks without losing the whole thing. Look at that, car 7. Mark Gibbs, is it, at the wheel?
Yep.
He's put it around. It looks like the exit to the pits. And he's crunched the concrete at least a couple of times.
There's some front-end damage to that car.
Dear, oh dear, it's all happening. Car 7 was in 7th position, comfortably in the top 10. And she's gone right around.
And he's parking it.
What a shame for the GIO team. Let's watch that again on the replay. Well, he's running all on his own here. And, yep, he's just gone around the road, obviously getting greasy. And he's a passenger from here. Crunch.
Yeah, very greasy there. That's
so Crompton's shaking his head. He's devastated. If you knew how much effort this guy put into putting race teams together, this guy works 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. Bobby Forbes, Wally Story, the whole team, they will be shattered.
Lying in 8th position at the time of the incident.
So, this is where it's all at. Larry Perkins will be taking it very gingerly out there. Meanwhile, car 28.
This is the Komatsu car. Oh, the Kevin Waldock entry.
Wet tyres going on there.
14th position as they came in for wets, driver change as well.
Boy, this is a tough one to call, isn't it?
Terribly difficult conditions for the drivers. The decision as to whether or not to go for wet tyres may just possibly be slightly quicker at the moment, but if we don't get any more rain, of course, they will be considerably slower and they'll have to be changed.
Well, Freddie Gibson's taken the other option. They put away the intermediates down at the Fred Gibson pit. He's getting out full wets.
Brett Peters in the car as it leaves the pits, the number 28 entry, and we go down to talk to shattered Neil Crompton with Andy Raymond.
Yes, thanks very much, Gary. Shattered, I don't know if that'd be the word to use. Neil, obviously very, very disappointing.
What can you say, Andy? These things happen. There's no good jumping up and down and getting stressed. Mark's obviously got in a bit of strife out there in these very dangerous conditions on slick tyres. We gave it our best shot this weekend. We've had a couple of difficulties during the week, but the GIO Australia Bob Forbes racing team's been getting more and more competitive, and it's our mission now to go to the Grand Prix and put on a good show, and then hopefully in 1994 we'll be a force to be reckoned with. So
months of hard work, mate. I guess it is a funny feeling, hard to describe, because the GIO team in the last 6 months has just come on in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work. We've built our new car. We got it down to the weight. It's got good horsepower from Holden Racing Team, and Dunlop have given us good tyres, and Wally and Peter and Adam, Bob Forbes, everybody associated with the teams works so very hard. You know, but things go wrong sometimes in motor racing, and obviously the cards aren't falling our way today. But it's an interesting motor race, and we'll come back next year and give it a real big shot.
Neil, I'll let you go and have a shower, or you could actually stand out in pit lane the way things are going.
Thanks, mate.
Look at those eyes. They say the eyes are the windows of the soul. That is a stressed-out individual. He's a very, very sad man, Neil Crompton, and rightly so.
Look at the lap times. Perkins just put in a 2:30, running around on a wet course, sort of a greasy track on slicks.
Scaife 2:27.
And the gap between Scaife and Perkins was just over 6 seconds when they came past the start-finish line last time round.
Well, Jimmy Richards at the wheel, the Rain Master. And gee, this is the toughest one to pick. It just depends on the weather. If this rain moves away, Perkins has got it at the back. Car 2 comes in now.
4th spot they were in as they came down the pit lane.
Full wets going on. Freddie's made the decision, obviously. They're not going to take any chances out there. He thinks it's going to rain and get heavier and heavier. Larry obviously has different information, or maybe a different premonition. We'll find out as this fascinating race unfolds.
And as Olofsson studying concentration at the wheel, anxious to get on with it. Just some minor adjustments here on the right front. I can't see what they're doing.
Well, they had a puncture on that right front earlier on, which I think was probably caused by the debris on the track after the Dick Johnson incident, but they've also got the brake pad levers out down there.
Well, if that's the case, is that a third change for that? No, they've done 2 on the other, now that's the second for this car.
I didn't actually see that they were changing pads there.
I saw the levers down there, but I didn't actually see any pads.
I think they may have just
changed.
checked them and seen that their pad wear was in estimations. 2 was in